Rated M for mature.
I will at least hint that there is a fan favorite coming in season 1.
You bet there is.
Miles Leslie, creative director at Treyarch.
I don't know how much to spoil on that.
Let's talk about it.
I just want everyone to know is we have a...
Boom!
What a cliffhanger.
Hello, folks, and welcome to episode 3 of the Call of Duty podcast, the official Call of Duty podcast, or the COD pod, if you will. Boy, have we got a big episode. My name is Miles Ross. I'm joined, as always, by Stephanie Snowden. We will, of course, have a special guest from Treyarch walking us through some story tidbits. We'll be canonizing some things. I'm still not recovered from the beta.
I may never recover from
we'll be
that
fine
beta
when it comes out on October 25th.
Yeah, but it was just was such a fun time. Last week we got a little taste of what Treyarch is focused on in terms of, what we learned from beta, and thank you to everyone that shared their experiences and their feedback in the data that we get from the open.
All of it.
The weekends of multiplayer beta is so super important to shaping the game. And so the studio is super focused on, adjusting some of those things for launch, and the road to launch is upon us. And it's so exciting. I can't wait.
It's a lot. It's still a lot of Call of Duty to be played. Speaking of,
sure is.
MW3, The Haunting, taking place. I'm appreciative, by the way, as someone who does love horror and is excited by scary things.
Spooky season.
It's true spooky season.
Yeah.
The idea that I could opt out of jump scares was very, very sweet.
We appreciate that.
Very, very sweet.
Did I leave them on? Maybe.
100%, but at the same time, it's nice to have the option. Really, really nice to have the option. But of course, The Haunting in MW3 and Warzone, a little bit on that later, Steph.
Yeah, I think I heard you were playing some Purgatory Islands.
Trapped. Couldn't get out. Until they kicked me out after 2 hours.
That is how it works.
Yeah, that's how it works. But you get kicked out after 2 hours. But yeah, really cool sandbox mode. Again, more on that later. We're way ahead of ourselves, mate.
Yeah, we're excited. But I want to talk about spooky season because like I said, the haunting is upon us. Spooky season is here. And generally, as someone who works on Call of Duty, Halloween is like a no-go for me because it's like generally pretty close to launch. So I'm usually living in like a Call of Duty shaped hole in the ground instead of doing anything for Halloween. But I work at Treyarch, and at the office, people take the costume contest very seriously, right? Like every year, I went to the costume contest at IW last year, and like people don't mess around. And so I feel like I've been thinking about my costume, and I feel like with this year, it has to be Black Ops themed. And so far, my leader in the clubhouse is Wraith, who was one of the operators from Black Ops Cold War.
Yeah, with a sort
badass
of
has like the
leather mask,
the faux hawk.
Yeah.
She's got like a
One of Stitch's
situation.
crew.
One of Stitch's crew,
Yeah.
I think. You were right. And I don't know how to cosplay.
That's a head shave situation.
Yeah, I don't.
I'd just go woods.
necessarily need to shave.
I'd go woods for me because this is close.
Yeah,
as I'm
well,
getting.
okay, must be nice for you.
Super
but
easy.
If anyone has any, tips for making a hit Wraith costume,
Also,
feel free to pop them in the comments or just other ideas.
and on other social media platforms where it's easy to share images, please send us your favorite. And if you have done a Call of Duty themed Halloween costume, please, I'd love to see those.
I dressed my dog up one year as like one of the finishing moves, basically, because she's got a little German Shepherd in her. Yeah. She's a princess. I love her, and she had like a little tactical outfit on, and apparently I can't do my own costume, but
yeah, I can make
she was good.
I can make my baby look like one of those leprechauns many leprechauns that kill you in MW3.
Okay.
And 2, actually, there was plenty of those.
Yeah, killer leprechaun is not a theme that we are unfamiliar with.
Yeah. Small and dangerous.
Speaking of which, there are also some things in the game right now that I feel personally tormented by.
Yeah,
as part of
the most
haunting.
grotesque and well rendered clowns I think we've ever seen in COD history.
Yeah, I feel personally attacked by my colleagues by the amount of clowns in the game, because every year this time of year it just increases exponentially, and I'm like, are there more clowns that we don't have that we have to get?
There's a lot of clowns. And it's funny to think about what the zombies in Black Ops 6, you're going to be able to disable, for those who've got arachnophobia,
yes,
you're able to disable the 8-legged variety of of different creatures. You can't turn off Clown, folks.
No.
Clown stays with you. Clown may be behind you and under your bed.
Clown
There's
is
no
part of
turning it
you
off.
if you are like that.
Clown comes
you are
with.
Clown.
But yeah, some of the most disgusting and amazing skins, Halloween skins ever seen in Call of Duty history
Really wild.
right now.
Okay, so we're going to circle back on all things Halloween and the haunting, but for now, all eyes are on launch, so let's talk about Black Ops 6.
That's not like us on this podcast, is it?
So as we look ahead to launch for Black Ops 6, which is October 25th, we're just about 2 weeks out, we want to spend some time circling back on the story. And that means story so far. We had an awesome video from the Call of Duty accounts this week, kind of recapping all of the goodness that's been in Black Ops of years past and how that could play into the narrative for this game. And so we're thrilled to have Miles Leslie join us to talk shop and even maybe set the record straight on a few questions for Black Ops. Miles, you are the Associate Creative Director at Treyarch. I call you the lore master. Welcome to the COD pod.
Jeez, that's a big role right there. There's a lot of us there. Thank you for having me. We are super excited to talk about Black Ops 6 and all things that have led to this moment, and also what Black Ops 6 is bringing to the table now in the world of Black Ops overall.
So one thing that I hear you all at the studio and the awesome campaign team at Raven who are working on Black Ops 6 talk about, but really for you guys at Treyarch, like what makes a Black Ops game and how do you, from a development standpoint, sort of look at the signature Black Ops? That's sort of like the catchphrase that we hear a lot. You know, what does that mean to you guys to distill down what a Black Ops game is?
Yeah, it's super important when you start, like any Black Ops game, is really what are those defining pillars? Really, there's a lot of ways to call it the ingredients, but it is what makes Black Ops, signature Black Ops. And for us, these main things are, we call the invisible world, no rules, alone together, tough to crack, and last is becoming monsters. All of those together, which we'll dive into each individually, form really the DNA, again, the pillars, the ingredients. You mix them all together to varying degrees, and you get a Black Ops game through the fibers of campaign, multiplayer, and even zombies, so that you're always in the Black Ops experience and world. And that's important to us, is be intentional. We want you to come with us on this journey. And so I think Black Ops 6 is bringing that in spades.
Yeah, so the 5 core pillars that define what signature Black Ops experience means and how those elements are woven throughout the 3 modes of the game.
Absolutely. So it starts with these kind of big tenets. The first one is we call this invisible world. And Black Ops is always, for us, really had the penchant of leaning on sort of what is the truth and not the truth, right? In that sense, is leaning into fiction, things that are happening that you could believe it's plausible, right? That you could say, you know what? This story they're crafting, this world, maybe that is happening and we just don't know about it, right? So it's weaving in the histories, and with Black Ops 6, we're going all into that, right? We're 1991, right after the Cold War. The world is changing in really big ways, and we're kind of inserting our own little stories and moments where you're like, oh yeah, of course that could happen, right?
I always think of that of like, you obviously know the historical top lines, right? Like current events, we're familiar with that kind of thing. Yeah. We know what was happening at the end of the Cold War. But that, to your point, the invisible world sort of takes the approach of like, well, what could have been going on in the underbelly? Like
it's the things you don't see, and that leans all the way into the Black Ops. And for us, it's fun because when you start a new Black Ops game, it's finding those big historical moments, right? Those cultural touch points. And then it's that question is, how do we weave our own sort of story into it? Is we had a game that was near the Cold War, during the Cold War. We also had missions in Black Ops 2 that were in between that, right? And so now we're really come to the side of how do you use your own history from the game mixing with real world, and that's how you get the kind of tenet of invisible world.
Have you ever gotten, you've put out a storyline out there and you've maybe put it in the game? Has there ever been a sort of knock at the door and a guy in a suit's like, hey, that's got to go? Is there a
history.
Like that's not so much history, is it, right?
Like, it's funny because throughout all of the games, whenever you do have to do some prediction, right? Like especially when we did more of the future games, right? Like Black Ops 3 and 4, is you're really projecting. And so there is a lot of stuff where we'll have like military advisors are like, hey, how did you hear about that? And we're like,
This
what?
was in a game 12 years ago. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
it's like that's a prototype thing, and we're like, oh, I didn't know. We were just making it up.
We
And
were
they're-
spitballing with
yeah.
the water cooler, and it just
Yeah.
it sounded kind of cool.
And then,
They're like,
and then the eye squint, they're like, sure you did. And then sort of the next tenet for us is this no rules. When you talk about Black Ops, really you're dealing with, it's in the name, I know it's obvious, but sometimes people forget is Black operations are the things no one knows about.
Right.
If you get caught, no one is going to save you, right? This team is on their own. And that means they really can do whatever they need to do to get the job done. And that really means unconventional methods. There's the pure military aspect of big military operation, but when you're underneath all of that, you really have to do whatever you need to do to get the mission done. Black Ops, if you think about all the games, embodies that, right? From putting glass in people's mouth and punching them, right? And interrogations and all these sorts of things is throwing people off of roofs. Like, you're gonna have to do whatever you need to do for the greater good, even though you're probably doing really awful things in the moment. And that's where we get to blur the lines on Black Ops. And that's what I think makes it really interesting in those moments of, will I or will I not? Or what will I do to save the greater good? And
Yeah.
that's kind of the interesting question we try to set ourselves up when we're kind of crafting the world and the stories overall.
Well, and that resonates so much with what we know about the story of Black Ops 6 and that you're forced to go rogue.
Absolutely.
And so speaking of no rules and sort of that, juxtaposition of big government, CIA, military not having,
It's huge.
the accountability there when you're off the grid a little bit.
This was a big one coming into Black Ops 6 is we've always been in the good graces. We've always gotten that blank check, right? You remember Ronald Reagan, give Mr. Adler whatever he needs, right?
Yeah.
It's like those moments are huge, but now you don't get the blank check anymore. And so to your point, we have to break the rules even more.
Yeah.
And this is really exciting for Black Ops 6 because you literally, with the Cold War, yesterday's enemies are now literally your allies, right?
Yeah.
Felix, one of the characters in the campaign, that's a dude you were hunting maybe months ago, right? Like, never would have worked together. Now you're forced to. Going into places like Avalon, dealing with the criminal underworld. Like, there's a lot of interesting characters and moments and locations and stories you can craft with that leans all the way into signature Black Ops, no rules.
I think the next tenet, if I am correct, is the sort of like alone together or
Yeah.
the lone wolf nature of Black Ops and what that means for you both as a player, but how the playable characters relate to the rest of the characters in the world.
Yeah, this is another huge one. You think Black Ops is like, they know they need to work as a team, right? And you have highly elite operators that are really good at doing these things. But at the end of the day, this sort of alone together is, it really comes down to the individual about having to save the day. And that means even questioning the person next to you. You think about the relationships between that we've had in the past of Woods and Hudson.
Right.
They may not have liked each other, but they knew that they had to get the job done and they'll come together. Or Adler and Woods and all these characters, there's a lot of relationship between that we can really push on, but at the end of the day, they're gonna have to rely only on themselves. And so that's why this alone together comes from, is a banding together to do the greater good, but each individual at the end of the day, they might have to do awful things to the person next to them. That's all the way Black Ops, because again, you really can't trust anyone.
That's what I was going to say.
yeah.
Is to me, it comes down to
It
trust.
does,
It's at the end of the day, you only have yourself in Black Ops.
100%.
It's the only person you can count on.
I screamed at the end of
Yeah.
Cold War when I was my character Bell. I was like, I did the right thing.
I
and
did
then
not do the right thing. Let the record show.
I thought I did the right thing, and and Adler, he took me out to a
But-
nice place, and he put one in me. You're like, okay, thanks, brother.
I think we're going to talk about that in a little bit here because I think I certainly have some questions.
That's fantastic. We'll get into it.
Yeah.
And we'll get into it. The next thing on that is sort of ingredient is this sort of tough to crack, right? And our operators, again, throughout all the games, but even if you just look at Black Ops 6, is they're dealing with a lot. Like, these are grizzled specialists of war that are going behind enemy lines, dealing with really the unsavory of the world. And that does have to weigh on a person's soul. And so when you're meeting characters like Wood specifically, like for
Got a
Black
little-
Ops 6,
Got some baggage.
he's coming in, and this was really key to us, is he's coming in and he's lost his best friend, Mason. He's been kneecapped himself, right? Hudson is gone. His world is drastically changed. And when you talk about this tough to crack, is he knows he still has to keep going, right? Adler and himself in his own sort of where is he? What is he doing, right?
Because we don't know what he's up to in Black Ops 6, right?
When we come in, he's kind of been off sort of radar, and CIA is kind of looking for him. Is again, it's this tough to crack. Is they know for the greater good they have to keep going, even though they're really seeing awful things. And again, doing those things, it has a toll on each of them, but they kind of have to push through. And we put the players in that position so they can kind of feel that as well and have those moments, which is exciting.
And I've talked about kind of the last pillar a few times because it's one of my favorites. And that's obviously I just said I picked the bad ending at the end of Cold
Yeah, this is all making a lot of sense.
Way
now.
more sense, right?
Yeah, go ahead. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
so the last sort of key ingredient is becoming monster, right? It really embodies our sort of heroes, and again, the lines blur on this, is they're kind of have to use the same techniques that the enemies are using. And if the enemies are using them, is it good? Is it bad? And this is where you have that sort of moral ambiguity of like what is right and what is wrong. In Black Ops, we've always been on the edge of that, again, for the greater good. But if the bad guys and good guys are doing the same thing, is it good? You know, for the end cause, like those are sort of the questions we ask ourselves, and that's the gray area that we really lean into. And Black Ops 6 has a lot of that.
Right.
You're going rogue now. What does that mean if it's really only you and you're back against the wall and you're questioning everyone and not trusting anyone and really going to those enemies and people you wouldn't work through? There's something interesting about sort of using the techniques of the enemy as well to fight really the CIA machine that made you. You know, that's also super interesting, is they made you a monster, but now you have to become more than the monster that they made you.
Yeah,
which is
level
sort of
the playing
interesting.
field.
100%,
That's cool.
yeah.
That's very, very cool. Grey Ops, am I right, folks? Nothing's that black and
I
white.
thought we weren't going to announce the next time. No, I'm just kidding.
but okay, we have the ingredients now. What makes the signature Black Ops experience story-wise? Let's sort of rewind a little bit chronologically, literally, to the previous game, to Cold War, before we get into where Black Ops 6 is. So, Black Ops Cold War.
Yeah, so we care a lot about these characters. There's a lot of intention on it, and I hope it comes through and players, finally get to experience Black Ops 6. But the signature Black Ops really spills across the whole game, right? Campaign, multiplayer, and even zombies as much as possible so they feel unique but cohesive. And then when you talk about those past games and Cold Wars, we met, right? That was the first time we brought Adler in, but he felt like he had always been around in the shadows, right? He felt like he had always worked with Hudson and Mason and Woods, right, to get these things done. And that was intentional so that we can expand sort of the roster of heroes and characters that we can bring forward. We ended in an interesting place when you talk about that game. I don't know how much to spoil on that. Should we just get into it?
Let's talk about it.
Okay.
Okay. So one thing we've seen a lot of people talking about, there are obviously two endings in Black Ops Cold War. Miles and I chose, light and dark over here.
I love that.
We chose one and the other. But one thing we've seen people talking about in the community is that from playing the Black Ops 6 multiplayer beta, we know that Helen Park, fan favorite in the Black Ops world, is an operator.
Yeah.
In
Alive
the game.
and kicking.
She's
alive and kicking.
She's back. She's alive.
So that confirming she is alive.
Yeah.
We want to talk to you a little bit about
100%.
how that shuffled.
So when you talk about canon of Cold War, right? It's like, Adler put a bullet in Bell, right? In that sense, and this goes to those tenets of becoming monster and using those tools. Is Bell was kind of just a tool, a means to an end, which is really tough to stomach, especially because we put the player in that position.
Right.
But the greater good needed it, right? It was a sacrifice in Adler's speech where it's like, you did good, kid, but this is the end of the road where your journey kind of ends, and that embodies that Black Ops. So they saved the day at the cost of some things. And then the really cool thing that we really started with Cold War is like the post-launch storytelling, that story.
Yeah, so the live seasons, and especially in Warzone, I wanted to ask you about that. Like, how do you guys look at that? Is that canon? Is that, how does it all work out?
So we were trying some new things in post-launch, and to us, that post-launch story that we did on Cold War is canon when we introduced Stitch, who's an amazing character, and his connection to Adler and Rebirth Island. And again, it goes to, we really try to weave through that. You were like, yeah, of course Stitch was always around, and of course he helped make Nova 6, so that's canon to us, that we can, again, creating characters and moments to come back to in interesting ways and weave story and expand the universe for players so that they can really feel like they're coming back to this place. But with Black Ops 6, it was like bring something new, but kind of pull those old tenets. So we're after the Cold War, right? If you followed the post-launch story, Adler kind of was ending in a bad place, and so he's kind of gone off, which was pretty interesting overall. But it also ties to even more, right? Beyond Black Ops Cold War is Black Ops 2. We were in the 80s.
You got the flashback
Yes.
from that point.
Yes, 100%.
There's a lot of interesting stuff
It's-
there.
I mean, this is. I hit a big story recap video because Black Ops 1 was a long time ago.
It
I've got a
was,
lot
yeah.
of homework here.
Please don't remind me.
I know. Sorry, Miles. I went back in time and I checked
You
it all out.
worked on Black Ops 1.
I did. I have worked.
it-
I have been at Treyarch since World at War, and so it's
Yeah.
about 16 years. And you think about again, for me, it all blurs together that it feels like it just happened, even though in dev years it was a million years ago. But it's like kind of remembering those things is like, if you think about, we've started this connectivity since World at War. You met Reznov, and then he was in BO1 in a new way, and then Mason and all these things. So it's always been in our blood and DNA to connect the stories, but still have them stand on their own.
That's
And
really
Black
cool.
Ops 2 does that with Black Ops 6.
That's really cool. So yeah, so we've covered Cold War, and we can say now as official canon that Bell dies,
Yeah.
and that's that. I reached for
that.
my controller, by the way. I thought I was done. I put it down. I was like, this was great, and then he pulled out his pistol. I was like, wait a minute!
Yeah.
Reached for the controller, and I was like,
Sorry,
well, okay, that was
sorry,
good.
Don't you
Yeah.
dare.
I was like, do I have to replay that? Can I survive? No, but it was great. Okay, so we've had Cold War now. Yeah, going to Black Ops 2.
Yeah, Black
Which
Ops 2.
is-
So it was half of it's 2025,
Yep.
which we have to talk about as well, you know, in some sense. We'll
Which
get
is
to that.
important because it's, we have the 2025 storyline in Black Ops 2. We've got the 1980s flashbacks. And then, interestingly, Black Ops 6 comes in the middle of those two things. The entirety of Black Ops 6 is set in 1991. So
Yep.
it's, I think, 3 years after
Yep.
the events in Panama.
Yes, so
Correct?
big moment in Panama for those that know, right? Black Ops 2. And this is where we can say, and we're canonizing, this is where Woods killed Mason. He was tricked into killing his best friend Mason by, right, Raul Menendez, who kind of set up all this stuff in Panama. Huge moment, right? Woods is then again dealing with that. And again, it was really important for us to go back is Woods has always been really a hard-ass badass that is just, he's a really cool character because he's that, and he's kind of this, he's like the grumpy uncle, he's an asshole, but, you know, it's like he still gets the job done. And so now you're coming to him in a different place. He lost his best friend. He killed by being tricked. He witnessed Hudson sacrifice himself in front of him, right, to save not only him, but David Mason,
and
as well. And then he gets kneecapped, means he will never be able to be the same operator that he was before. We're coming into Black Ops 6 where he's had a few years to try to digest that, but that's a huge change. And now it's really interesting for us to come back to that character.
You guys have really put him through the ringer.
Yeah, well, welcome to Black Ops,
Well, and he was
baby.
in the shipping container, for,
Tortured.
for
He
how
was there.
That was.
Yeah.
I remember that scene when he opened. I was like, "Wow, Woods has lost a lot of weight.
Yeah,
This is bad."
It's so when you talk about Black Ops 6, and this is what we've started to do, and we can't talk about all of it, right? Is there's a lot of endings in Black Ops 2, and we went back, and if you do the 80s missions and 2025 is we ourselves need to canonize things.
So here's the big moment in the podcast, folks. We are talking about which of the endings in Black Ops 2, what really happened at the end of Black Ops 2 in terms of canon. And we get to hear it straight from Treyarch.
So with Mason dead, we can't give it all away just yet, but obviously with Mason dead, that tells you a lot about which ending might have been canon. But I just want everyone to know is we have a canon ending. We're weaving through who survived and who didn't. And you might see them at some point in the future in different ways.
Interesting.
Yeah.
An interesting
can't give it all away.
tidbit
Can't give
there.
it all away.
No,
Yeah,
that's fair.
we said on the first episode of the podcast that obviously Treyarch had confirmed earlier this year that Mason and Hudson were dead for various different reasons. And watching a lot of YouTube videos, I know that people did not necessarily believe me when I said that on the first podcast.
It's coming from literally.
It was the first episode, guys. Give me a break. But I would, take that for what you will. It is canon. We've kind of got a little tidbit on where to go and where Black Ops 2 left us in terms of how it sets up the future of the Black Ops universe, which will lead directly into Black Ops 6.
Yep.
But maybe even beyond.
We'll see. You have to wait and see.
We'll see. Okay. What a cliffhanger.
So we true canon now, kind of locked in.
Yeah, it was important for us to go back to that because Black Ops 2 did a lot of amazing things with the branching stories, but you also have to go through and kind of in talking about the intentionality of story and characters and moments is what story do we want to pull forward and tell now in that moment, and that's where we have to just make the decision on like, okay, is this the right call? And there's tons of debates internally, right? Like when we're talking about this stuff is like, no, he's dead, he's not dead, and again,
I saw him die,
and even
I shot him in the leg.
Yeah,
it was me.
all of Black Ops 2 is like a heated conversation where they're like, Salazar's alive, no, he's dead, no, Harper's dead, and it's all this, and so all of that is up for discussion, and again, we are forming what is canon so that we ourselves know what the sort of source of truth is when we're crafting new stories on top of this.
Cool. So we're set now for BO6.
We're set.
Woods is injured, Hudson's dead, Mason's dead,
Yeah.
and Adler, the shiftiest man in recorded Black Ops history, is MIA.
Yeah.
That is
100%.
that's where we start.
That's where we start.
proceedings. This is going to be great.
Yeah.
Can't wait, man.
And I'm excited to see, obviously, we know Adler's kind of a fan favorite, and we don't, in true Black Ops fashion, we don't know who we can trust.
Yeah.
Can you give us any little, pointer about where we might see Adler early on?
Because I got trust issues now.
Yeah,
frankly.
well, I mean, that was our goal throughout all Black Ops is to make you just question everything, who
Yeah.
you are and the world around you.
You nailed it.
The numbers.
Yeah.
that's
Oh, the numbers.
It
Wow.
starts-
It started with the numbers and it continues through with red doors and which story ending and all these things. We're really trying to keep everyone on their toes as much as possible here. Adler, again, is a character overall that's been really interesting, the ultimate sort of wild card. And if you talk about that monster, he's going to come back in an interesting way. Again, want everyone to experience it, but he is never what he seems on the surface. That could be good or bad. And again, I'm just going to say a lot of where he might or may not go in the story is kind of in the signature Black Ops stuff we talked about. So
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, look, I'm
Makes
looking out for now. I can't help myself but look out for those pillars now. As I'm
There
playing
you
through it,
go.
I'm like, there it is.
Go back.
Am I becoming monster
Yeah.
now? I'm ready for it. I can't.
what
help
have I become?
like,
Some
oh.
of us stay monster over here on the not Miles couch.
Okay,
but,
so so we've got our established players in BO6, but there's a lot of new characters, a lot of new
Yeah.
faces. Can you go through any of those new characters, Miles, without giving away too much? Although I want you to give away.
Well, I
a
know
lot.
he's been elbowing me the entire time trying to get more out, but it was really important for us when you talk about Black Ops 6 and we talked about how we kind of got here and bringing new characters in is we're trying to expand really that the world of Black Ops is huge. There's lots of different operators and characters, and bringing them to the forefront and giving them time to shine is really key for us. Black Ops 6 does that in spade with a lot of different personalities. We've got Troy Marshall, which we've talked about. You've seen him sort of new kind of face of Black Ops, working as the protege of Woods, and he brings his own sort of attitude as well and sort of his own approach to these different things, especially being Rogue and his thoughts on that, which is interesting.
he's obviously our sitting bull.
He's also our sitting bull.
the guy.
100%. And then we have Sev, who is an awesome character. We call her the master of disguise. She brings her own personality to it. She grew up on the streets of Avalon, was brought in by the Guild, one of these crime factions. And she's really, you never really know if she's in it for herself or is she there to really help the Black Ops team. And that's what we want, right? We want that sort of, I don't know who I can trust, but in this moment we have a singular thing to do. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. There's a really unique relationship with Sev, and I think she's an awesome brand new character. I think
I'm
fans
on
are really
record
gonna
as
love it.
a Sev stan.
Yeah,
early
she's-
on.
she's
So,
awesome.
You're gonna get to see her in the campaign, and then maybe what else she's up to later on.
We'll see. And then we've got Felix, who is, yesterday's enemy, is really today's sort of kind of ally in that sense. And he brings, again, his own sort of personality and character and his own really ways of dealing with things now that it was on the other side. The Woods and him had a very unique relationship during the Cold War, now or after, and they're rogue. So you're kind of just pulling whoever you can to get the job done because it's really only the rogue team that kind of knows the sort of the truth of this corruption and how wide that is. And then we've got Jane Harrow, who is the CIA specialist, on the sort of still on the inside helping the team. She really wants to protect the U.S. at all costs. And so she's going to work with the team in a lot of interesting ways. And the story is going to weave that through. And really, how does she help the rogue team and help sort of uncover really what's going on is really the heart of that sort of conspiracy in the campaign. And then how does that spill out again through those signature pillars throughout the rest of the game?
I'm just waiting for the people being like, is this Sev? Was Sev in this scene the whole time? Is this Sev behind? Is that Sev in the backdrop? Is that Sev there? Master of Disguise. Could be anywhere.
Could
folks.
be anyone.
That's
I mean,
right.
you can have a lot of fun with that just in terms of, I think people are going to see that in the campaign and how, what she's
Well,
what she's up to.
is it the
but-
replacer or is it Sev?
Yeah. That's her on the horse
Yeah,
behind
that's
you.
Right behind us. That's her on the horse. For those listening, a very important thing to know that there is a portrait
Epic,
of the replacer on a horse behind us.
Renaissance style
That's
painting
right.
of the replacer.
I'm
on
now
a
thinking
horse.
about, are we going to see folks looking for Stitch in old Black Ops games? Like, that has to be him. That's got to be the guy, right? He's wearing a mask, but that could be him.
It's funny because when we crafted him and we went back to Rebirth Island, and that's when Rebirth came out and all this sort of stuff, is we wanted to feel exactly that, where he's part of the foundation.
Yeah.
He was there, So we've tried to cleverly kind of put those things in.
So we've said it several times throughout the podcast, but it's Black Ops. You don't know who you can trust, and sometimes you don't even know what's real. I think sometimes Black Ops takes that the step further to say, is this something? Is it nothing?
Very
Am I
mind-bending,
seeing
yeah.
it?
Am I
we
tripping?
lean into
Yeah.
the mind effery, if you
Yes.
will. Is something very on brand. But I want to talk to you kind of about the big bad, because as we look at the story so far for Black Ops, as we look to set up Black Ops 6, we kind of get this sense that there might be a larger force at work.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've been forced to go rogue. You're being hunted by the machine that's made you. So can you tell us a little bit about sort of what that bigger sort of presence might be that's sort of forcing some of these events into action?
Yeah, so when we talk about, and we talked about Pantheon is sort of this name that our sort of rogue team has heard and whispers within the CIA and intelligence community, is this Pantheon group has really infiltrated themselves within the CIA in some way, but we don't know what degree. So we don't know who to trust, who to not trust, who is working for them, who is not. They really have fingers everywhere and the tentacles out in this sort of spy network, since they are sort of ingrained in it. And what that means is they have the same tools as you. And now that you're rogue, they're using it against you. And how do you unravel that from the outside is really the interesting thing. When no one trusts you because you're rogue, but they have all the tools on the inside and they have all the allies and they have everyone else on their side, it's an uphill battle. And that's really what the rogue team is going to kind of experience throughout Black Ops 6. And I don't want to give it too much away, but Pantheon has their own set of goals, and have they been in the shadows all along, right? You're going to figure it out. What other sort of things have they had their fingers in? There's a lot of interest we can do there, which is really cool, and coming off of Cold War is important for us to make sure that it feels different than Perseus, which was based on really a Russian sort of with Perseus himself of wanting to take down the West. This is different because it's coming from within inside.
Yeah, not the same organization.
It's not. It's totally different, right? And this is coming from inside, using those intelligence agencies. So there's something more lethal about it because the enemy's not in front of you. The enemy can be behind you on all sides.
You don't know who's pulling the strings either.
There's a lot of intrigue there and a lot of different ways we can take it.
Very exciting.
It's getting insidious.
Is. So Pantheon, big bad. We're on the lookout for them.
They might already be in the room.
Oh.
Yeah, that's right. Be careful.
I'm scared.
You should be.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm a day one campaign. I've said this. I'm going to say this every episode, but this is one of the most, I'm so excited.
October 25th, when this comes out, we're like 2 weeks away.
Let's go.
And so we can't wait. Everyone at the studio is super hard at work. But one other quick thing I want to touch on behalf of Treyarch, since we have 2 Miles here, is that Miles Leslie, you and I were up on stage at Call of Duty Next, which feels like 7 years ago now, but was actually like maybe a month ago.
Maybe.
Or 2, something like that. And
it all blurs together.
It does, especially with beta. But we got to reveal Area 99, which is, of course, the new Resurgence map coming to Warzone later this year in Season 1, which was super exciting. And you got to take us through Area 99, which is the birthplace of Nuketown.
Yes.
So we've got a lot of questions from the community out there about Nuketown.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if you want to set the record straight for us a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. So, we love, I don't want to say mess with the community, but we love to set things up for them. And they really have kind of leaned in. There's a lot of chatter about Nuketown.
We teased it. We teased it. Yeah.
We did tease it. And the way we kind of approach this is we wanted to kind of have a suite of sort of Nuketown experiences. That doesn't mean it's the same, but we wanted to kind of expand upon what players love about it. So Area 99 and Resurgence and bringing sort of Black Ops and Nuketown to sort of the Warzone side and the birthplace of that. Warhead, that is not Nuketown. But what's really cool is it's an old, again, if you imagine Area 99's making Nuketowns. It's on
Many Nuketowns.
Many Nuketowns.
So it could be a Nuketown, but it's not the
100%.
Nuketown.
So they're transporting, this stuff back in the 1960s. And when Area 99 starts to evacuate, this transportation of Nuketown and all of its sort of goodies falls into the desert. And so it is now left to the waste. So you get to play in all of the different bits of Nuketown in various different ways, because really the desert is taking it back over. And so that was really fun for us to experience Nuketown in a different way.
So that's Warhead. It's not a destroyed version of the Nuketown that we know and love, but it is a Nuketown.
It is
a
Nuketown.
Been swallowed up.
And then, of course, I can confirm that Nuketown is coming.
It wouldn't be a Black Ops
It wouldn't be,
game
of course,
without Nuketown.
Yeah, Nuketown.
Who imagined that there'd be a Black Ops game without Nuketown?
Yeah,
No one.
Like, at what point did anyone think, oh yeah, they won't? Nah, they've already done that.
No, we're super excited. And again, there's been some teases out there. I know the community's talking about Nuketown's going to come. It's going to be absolutely amazing. It fits directly into Black Ops 6, but it also fits into this, again, the Sweden sort of catalog of all of the sort of different Nuketown adjacent, the Nuketown family of fun, basically.
The Nukeverse.
Yeah, the Nukeverse. Yes, that's right. Yeah, there you go.
We'll workshop that.
Thank goodness we have a creative director here.
Well,
I definitely need that. But
there's no sort of bad ideas, just ones you're not ready to work on yet.
Scathing.
I need more coffee. Anyway,
Nuketown
is confirmed to be coming to Black Ops 6. Shortly after launch.
We're super excited. Fans are actually going to love it. Not only is it Nuketown and all the gameplay you know and love, but it absolutely looks amazing. We'll get to that.
We get to kind of like hypothesize.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
100%.
is it going to be a little? It's got to be a little 90s, or is it more? Are we more sort of?
Don't
can
answer
I ask?
that.
So it's definitely.
Shut up! Get out of town. Okay.
What I wish we could do, I wish I could hold my hand and a little Archie Adam would pop up and he could tell you what it is.
We got to get an Archie for the set.
But Archie's busy.
I feel like that's enough.
He's busy back at the studio trying to finish the game. So we got him working too.
Well,
so he can't.
We got the replacer to fill in for you at the studio today to do the podcast.
Chaos.
We sent Archie.
Yeah, he's still working.
Packing to do some work.
Yes.
So Nuketown's coming soon.
It's
folks.
coming.
Stay tuned.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have more about that soon. And honestly, I can't wait to see what this version looks like. You already know. Don't tell me. I don't want it spoiled. Yeah. And
shocking.
We'll see you for the launch of Black Ops 6 on October 25th.
We're super excited.
Miles, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is
here.
really exciting to be able to dive into all of this for all of the fans.
I feel like you guys are going to do Trust Falls after this.
We did it before. That's how we warmed up.
Good.
Yeah.
Great. I'll go outside.
Thanks, Steph.
Okay, so palate cleanser moment. We're back. We're here to talk more about spooky season, about the haunting, about everything that's happening in Modern Warfare 3 and Warzone. And damn, some of it is pretty scary.
Yeah, objectively scary. I mean, that was the aim. This is not everyone, this is a lot of folks' favorite season.
Yep.
A lot of pumpkin spice action going on.
Ugh.
A lot of pumpkins found across.
I'm not a PSL person.
I had my first PSL yesterday of the season. It was all right.
Yeah, I don't think less of you, but I don't think more of you.
I'm quite basic. I'm happy. I'm happy to admit that. Back to the things that we hate. You've not had a nice time with the clowns in game. Obviously, it is seemingly endless the amount of clown skins now.
There's just more.
We could probably find out how many clown related skins have been in COD now.
Infinite,
and it's a very high number. Yeah.
I would like not to do that because that's reliving trauma for me.
Yeah. Sorry,
but
mate.
what I would like to do is play a little game. So
rapid fire.
We're going to play something that I like to call duck, carry, kill.
Whoa.
So like the duck is miss me with that. I'm out. I want to avoid it.
Okay.
Carry. I'm with it.
I like it.
Sticking with it. That's my duo. Kill, I feel like, pretty self-explanatory.
It's very similar to another game sounds like this. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, that one.
This is a minefield. This is a tongue-twisting minefield that could honestly cause issues, but I'm ready to go.
I want to start off with our spooky operators. Art the Clown from The Terrifier, and we've got Sam from Trick or Treat, The Walking Dead, we've got Daryl Dixon, and then we've got the extremely spooky Smile 2
Horrendous.
Valeria and Makarov. Valeria's
that is-
still mother, but that skin in particular is...
That's hardcore.
Whew.
And also the man himself, Michael Myers. Okay, so duck, carry, kill. Nearly did it. Am I up first?
Yeah.
All right.
You're up first. So of all of the spooky operators, some of the ones we mentioned, I want you to duck, carry, kill.
Duck. Probably Daryl. I didn't watch too much of The Walking Dead.
Okay.
I enjoyed the early ones, but I'll duck that for now.
Yeah, he kicks ass.
He does, absolutely. Carry, Michael Myers. Kill, Art the Clown is horrific. The face, the trailer was great. You did a great job, team, with the trailer. But for that reason alone, I was like, that can go.
There have been some pretty good memes on the COD account that I've seen. It's like I tell my buddies when they're like, I have this one friend that I want to join, and then it's like the friend.
Steph, your turn. You're on the spot. Duck, carry, kill. Variants of shipment.
All the shipments.
All of the shipments. Across
Across
the shipment universe. Okay.
The ship verse, understood. We've got like Ghost Ship, their ship miss. You got, of course, got the OG. I'm gonna stick to our 3 categories, but I might add like a hard carry as like a fourth, just because there's so many options.
Okay.
Like a super carry.
So up first, duck.
So up first, duck. Unpopular opinion. Stay high, which is the kind of crazy, wild.
The jump.
Version I loved watching people do Get High. Unfortunately for me, I am like the worst possible person at any kind of platformer. Like if you have a jumping puzzle going on, you do not want me on your team. It's my worst performance of all the shipments personally. So that's why.
Carry.
I'm gonna go arena shipment. This is one of my favorite new variants as part of MW3, and I think you get that like shoot house aesthetic inside a version of shipment, which has been really fun. And also just in general, like I think this is my best performing shipment. So arena shipment, super fun. But my hard carry is Shipmess, that Modern Warfare 3 version of Shipments that's icy, it's cool.
It's also festive.
It just feels like I love the ambient audio and maps. That's something that I always look forward to when I'm playing a new map. And I love that Shipmess has that like howling wind and sort of the icicles and some of the snow piled up. And so my kill is Sunny Shipment. Get out of here. I don't want anything to do with it. I simply do not want anything that I do on shipment to be seen in the light of day.
I mean, look, congratulations to the art team and everyone who did a great job on that. Also, that was a definite hell no from Steph. Right on.
It was a hell no, yeah.
Well, that was the first of maybe many duck, carry, kills. Didn't mess it up once, folks.
Hopefully we're not ducking this segment in the future.
It's not up to us.
It's not.
That's not up to us. But that was a lot of fun. Even more fun, though, ahead. And this is where we did this at COD Next. We did this in episode 2, but the mailbag, the community mailbag. You open yourself up to the mercy of social media. I've been getting some weird questions. I got a question in person.
Wow.
Yeah.
Recognized IRL.
Didn't answer it, just ran away.
Host of COD Pod.
Yeah, I just turned around and ran away. It was actually borderline.
Now we'll never know. So if you're out there and you're the person that approached Miles in person with a question, instead, perhaps submit it on social media
Also,
to the platform of your choice.
We do have community mailbag. If you do want to let us, or if you want to give us a question, or if you want to ask something, if you want to share something, hashtag CODPod, whether that's your Halloween costumes, the upcoming holiday, or if it's questions about the game, or if it's questions about a previous episode, we'll answer it.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
Okay.
I'm strapped in, ready to go.
Ooh.
Will there be ways to unlock campaign skins / operators for multiplayer?
Great question. This
Thank
is
you.
something we see a lot of years around launch. So yes, in Black Ops 6, there are some amazing rewards that you can earn for completing the campaign. And then use in other modes like zombies and multiplayer. So off to the races. You don't want to miss out on these. You're going to earn multiple pretty badass blueprints. So there you go. Again, MP zombies, jumping in with building a little start on your arsenal. There's also a great operator skin.
Ooh.
And plenty of other goodies. We've got some unique calling card challenges tied directly to the campaign as well. And so definitely get in there. The rewards are there and you're going to want that juicy loot.
So there is a definite incentive for the completionists and for the folks who want a little extra leg up in MP maybe, and for the folks who just all about that drip, play campaign.
Yeah. Also just, we've been talking about Omni movement a little bit over, definitely since beta, but I think people ask a lot like, what are your tips for Omni movement or to get used to it or play around with it? I'm like, play the campaign. Omni
100%.
movement's across all 3 modes, and so jump in and get a sense, hone your settings, and you'll be ready to go.
Amazing. Okay, next question. Will there be weekly or seasonal challenge events similar to Modern Warfare 3?
Not necessarily. So for Black Ops 6, not necessarily weekly, but seasonal, yes. So there will be seasonal event challenges. And speaking of rewards, the studio team is planning on working on something very, very cool that unlocks for these that you'll see in game throughout the year. So I'm not going to say exactly what those are, but I'll leave you with a little.
Yeah, this feels like the first COD that I have to complete everything. And then there's the Dark Ops.
I'm cursed with like completionist
I get
disease.
Yeah, I get that. I totally get
It's
that.
like I always take it a step too far. So don't be like me. But
no, good. I also
stuff
get
is
really
awesome.
big FOMO when I see something that was a limited time or a limited event skin that you can only get. I get real FOMO with that sort of thing.
Yeah, I have that right now with some of the haunting challenges.
Yeah,
I've been collecting all that candy.
I'm stinging a little bit.
I need more candy.
Next question. Mm-hmm. Any chance we can hear anything about party modes on one of the next #CODPod podcasts? Black Ops does a really good party mode, Steph. Tell us more.
I was excited. Okay, so at Call of Duty Next, and I think even on our last episode of the podcast, the Treyarch team confirmed that Infected, as part of spooky season, since it's right around launch, will be coming to Black Ops 6 shortly after launch. So look for it in the Halloween window.
The spook continues from MW3 straight into BO6.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I mean, don't doubt it. We're feeling seasonal, and then. So that's Infected, but obviously Treyarch loves party modes. We here at Call of Duty, we all love party modes. We know players like to party in modes, so of course you can expect more throughout the live seasons, post-launch. And I will at least hint that there is a fan favorite coming in season 1.
You bet there is.
But that's all I'm going to say.
You bet there is. Okay, cool. Well, we're going to put a pin in that and deal with that later. But next question. We're getting a lot of zombies love, especially after the last episode. Thanks, everyone, for the questions and the comments and all that. Has the zombies team made any changes to Liberty Falls since we first saw it at COD Next?
Yes. Short answer, yes.
Next question.
The Liberty Falls that everyone saw at Call of Duty Next was work in progress, right? That map was still months away at the time from launch. And so the Zombies team has continued to iterate on Liberty Falls since then. And the visual tone and sort of the look and feel are now a bit moodier.
Cool.
Than what people saw in the work in progress version Call of Duty Next. So that's very exciting. And there are some atmospheric elements that people did not see at Next because at the time we had the main quest and the Easter eggs disabled for broadcast.
No spoilers.
We didn't want to spoil it.
No spoilies.
And so I think there's a lot that people haven't seen in terms of those elements. and something to look forward to for launch. Kevin Drew talked about this a little bit next with our 2 launch maps. So Liberty Falls is intended to be sort of a smaller, more casual, so you can just jump right in, compared to Terminus, which is one of the biggest round-based zombies maps that Treyarch has ever made. So lots to do there, lots to do in both maps, but I think Terminus speaks to the more hardcore players and fans of zombies, and so at launch with both maps, there's really something for everyone.
I could dive into a Liberty Falls game, run around for say an hour, save and quit.
We'll see.
Whereas I feel like with Terminus, this is much more of we're committing to this squad.
A few of the HUD elements in zombies are also getting touched up, which we'll be able to share a little bit more about as we get closer to launch. So make sure you look out for the upcoming COD blogs from the Call of Duty crew and the Zombies team to learn a little bit more.
Is the entire focus of the team to develop round-based experiences for this game? As in, only RBZ?
Yes. And Kevin Drew, who was on our last episode, who is an awesome human and leading many parts of Zombies at Treyarch, mentioned this at Call of Duty Next, that the team is entirely focused on developing round-based zombies content for Black Ops 6, and that the big news at Next and on our second episode was that the 3rd round-based zombies maps for BO6 will arrive by the end of the year. So we've got Liberty Falls and Terminus at launch, and then a 3rd round-based zombies map coming, probably around season 1, but by my math. And today, we can also confirm that Zombies players can expect more support for in-game events compared to previous Black Ops games. So stay tuned to see what those might be.
Final question here from the mailbag. Will Kevin Sherwood's Easter egg songs be returning in Zombies?
Also known as the GOAT.
Meh.
Nice. Short answer, again, yes. Kevin Sherwood is back, and he is writing some incredible, amazing original songs for Zombies, and players will be able to discover 2 of them at launch. So again, 1 for each map with Terminus Island and Liberty Falls. I have heard the songs for both of them, and they are ducking epic.
They will be in the carry section of Duck, Carry, Kill for the foreseeable future. But also, I think for now, for most folks, it's, okay, cool, I want to hear these songs for previous games. And again, for the first time you jump into Zombies, do your homework, have a listen to Kevin Sherwood's work, because they're quite literally epic.
Damned on repeat until October 25th and beyond. So get exciting, have fun hunting for those at launch.
Never been good at that. I've always let other people find them first, and then I get to experience them at my own pace. But this is going to be a ton of fun.
We have so much. And of course, we'll be signing off until our next episode before launch, and then it will be upon us, and then hopefully we'll be back to talk about season 1. Some juicy stuff that we have cooking, and kind of what's ahead for Black Ops 6. And so this is such it's my favorite time of year, of like the energy around launch at the studio. Everyone's working hard, but it's just it can be electric, and just finally seeing people log on and play and live in that world feels so rewarding, for folks who have been working really hard in this game for years. And I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
A lot of love in this building for Call of Duty, and of course for Black Ops 6, which October 25th, if you haven't pre-ordered, just do it. Just do it. You get the wood skin right now. There's actually 3 variants of those you can get. But again, thanks, Steph, for another banger. Thanks to Miles Leslie for coming on, talking
Miles.
about
Miles.
Yeah, thanks to Miles.
Yeah,
thanks, Miles.
Hey,
You're welcome,
we only
Miles.
have 1 mug now because the rest have gone missing. Would you like to share with the class any news?
I've got one. I will bring
You've
my
got one?
I will bring my mug. Yeah, I got one.
Yeah, I have one.
In the great Black Ops 6 mug heist of 2024, I managed to get one out of it. I'll bring it in for the next episode so we can have a mug each. But until then, we'll buy one from the COD store, because they're now available for sale, right?
They sure are. You can find them on the COD shop. So we'll be
COD store.
ordering our own mugs, but I'm hoping that like maybe next episode we're in holiday season versus spooky season, and I can for Christmas get the crew COD Pod Squad mugs.
That would go great under the tree. But really, thanks again, folks, for everyone who's been watching wherever you are watching or listening. I've been Miles. He was also Miles. And you've been Steph.
Like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah, and also, we'll see you on Black Ops 6, October 25th.
Oh. Rain in the fire, rain in the fire.
That was the one. That was the one.
That was the one.
Wow, what a great episode.
Wow.
We've had so much happen here, Steph.
What was your favorite part?
It was really nice getting to talk to Miles Leslie about campaign. That was a lot of unanswered questions that have now been answered, and things have been written to canon, which is also really exciting.